Hello, and welcome to the Caim Circle Podcast. Jessa here. I want to say thank you again for being with me today. I am so excited about today because I have a guest. I'm usually on here just jabbering away all by myself, and today I have my beautiful friend, the incredible Joy, who is the joy and just a light on this world. I spoke about Joy a couple podcasts back when I was talking about mentorship and the power of mentorship and how it has significantly changed my life, and how I realized that, I was thinking about teachers and professors and how they had, been magic in my life. And then for some reason, I had like this block about taking on mentorship and guidance in a different way. But I was introduced to my yoga teacher and my yoga mentor, Adi Shakti of Soul Work, and then the Akanda Institute and Rishikesh and all of these beautiful things. I would never have came into my life, or maybe it would have, but just not when it did, or as quickly as it did, if it was not for this incredible woman. So I'm going to introduce Joy, who she walked into my life and she was wearing cowboy boots and a cheetah print dress and these big long earrings, and her hair was flying down. And I was like, my heart was just fluttering my chest. I'm like, oh God, I have a girl crush. Holy shit. She's so beautiful. And her child was running around going, it's her. She's like you, but what you would have been if you wouldn't have held yourself back. And there she is. And I'm like having like this little inner meltdown. And yeah, in my life, it's never been the same since. So, welcome.
Thank you, Jessa. Man, I'm still trying to find those cowboy boots. I'm home visiting my parents. I'm like, where are my damn cowboy boots at?
Yeah.
They are part of my soul.
They were phenomenal boots.
I'm gonna find them. They're in my storage unit. So thank you so much for the beautiful introduction, and I'm so happy to be here. I love you so much. And as we know, like there are no coincidences, and we got dropped into each other's realm in such a perfect way, and such a perfect time in Austin, Texas. Yeah, Texas. I really do love Texas. And yeah, we were doing a day retreat together last year with llamas. No, alpacas. I always do that. Alpacas.
Alpacas, llamas.
There is a difference.
We were out there with some animals in the Texas heat, doing, one of my favorite memories forever was singing at the top of our lungs, skimmery dinky dinky dink, while we got into the cold water plunge. I mean, fun. just like magical things happening, people.
And I think song is such a mechanism for magic, and when we can tap back into songs from our childhood, when we can tap back into songs that we love, that make us feel something, I've been getting messages lately about my work. Really, it's really important that music is a part of it. Like when I do my events or workshops, I always have a sound healer that comes in and introduces sound, because there's something that can wake up inside of us. And whether it's Skim Rinky Dinky Dink, or it's the theme song of Little Mermaid, or it's, sometimes I get hymns that pop up. So I grew up in the church, and I get hymns that will pop back into my head, and I can like appreciate them with a whole new lens now, and a whole new beauty. And when I hear like gospel music with harmonies, I'm like, oh, that's like the sweetness of the angels that I feel,
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's funny because there was like a part of me when it came to stepping into yoga on this deeper level, like, okay, I'm going to become a teacher. I'm going to really learn about this stuff, like mantra, right? And like the ohms and all of the shanties and all of this noise and this, the sounds that we're making. There was like a little bit of I'm going to sound weird. Like and you totally get past that. But once you do and you invite in the vibration of sound, and then yeah, you see music and all of it in such a different way. It's just been that's been so beautiful for
Yeah.
me.
My experience in teaching especially when it comes to yoga and mantras and whatnot, even oming, is that people are really resistant to it, like really resistant. And we can probably both speak to that in our own experience, but really even just imagine that you can't even, or you don't want to om at the beginning of a class, and how blocked the throat chakra is for that to be the case. Like you are, when you hear your own voice, there's something there that's maybe triggered, or maybe you just don't like it, or, you're uncomfortable. You don't want to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And, you and I are both wild women. We're both outdoorsy women. So I think we do pretty good with being uncomfortable sometimes, but damn, I live in Costa Rica, so I'm used to a less comfortable life, but people here in North America, in our Western culture, do not like being uncomfortable. And so it's like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to do that. But what happens if you push yourself out of your comfort zone? What happens if you decide, I don't really like this, but I'm going to see what happens when I try it? Because that to me is when you are rewarded with magic, with perhaps the unlocking of your throat chakra in this circumstance, or perhaps anything, opening the door for anything to be possible, and for you to step outside of the fear, because comfort zone stuff is definitely tied into fear stuff, right? It's like I don't know what's outside of my space, and that is tied into our nervous system stuff. That is tied into when we were wild tribal people and we had to be protecting ourselves, and we had to stay inside, or we had to stay in the group to be safe from predators and conflict and war and all that stuff. And now that still lives in us. That still lives in our reptile brain. And now it's other things that make us feel uncomfortable, like you're not having AC and stupid shit like that. Like, okay, y'all.
Oh, where is my cell phone? Oh my God, the whole world is gonna come crashing down without this device. Yeah.
Well, I had been in Costa Rica for a while. I'd gone to Mexico, all this stuff, and my real observation coming back to the States for the first time, this was like about 6 weeks ago now, was just how much people complain. I'm like, y'all, your lives are good. I'm hanging out with people who got a lot less than you, and they are not complaining about their life all the time. So that's something to think about.
Oh yeah, no, we are so spoiled. And you guys can probably tell already that Joy is filled with all kinds of incredible knowledge. To give her a little more of an introduction, she is a yoga teacher. She specializes in pranayama, which is the breath work, the yogic breath work, but she also does incredible coaching, especially around confidence and like stepping into your authenticity. She is like so herself, loud and proud, and it is beautiful. And yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we would go off on tangents, talk story all day. So, um, so yes, yoga school was always something that I thought I wouldn't do until I could go to India. And so I practiced yoga for 13 years before, and I will say this, I will say before I thought I was like good enough, like ready enough to actually go to school and become a teacher. I found my teacher, Adi Shakti, who I introduced to you. And what really drew me to this was the absolute adherence to a lineage. So there's an actual traceable line going back to the old teachers in the Adinath Shiv lineage of the Himalayas that we can trace. And that tradition's been passed down master to student, master to student. And here it is lying here with us. And so yoga school blew my mind. Had a lot of changes that occurred I went to a jungle ashram in Costa Rica. Just 3 weeks with compost toilets and not a lot of comforts, but a lot of discipline. And then a couple years later, I took a specialty course in pranayama, which is actually called a meditation certification. And I thought, and by this time my yoga practice had evolved a lot. So in the Western way, we understand that we assume that yoga is asana, the movement side of it. And that's kind of the context of most yoga in the West. Well, in real yoga, in the complete version of yoga coming from India, this is only one part of 8 pieces of yoga, starting with morality, essentially, starting with the yamas and the niyamas that are like the moral pieces of how to live a yogic life. Yoga means union. So we're just trying to unify all the polarities within inside of us, inside of, our communities, and make peace, right? Balance, harmony. So anyway, start to take this meditation certification and I learned about pranayama. And this changed my life, I think, more than any singular teaching that I've ever experienced. All of a sudden, I have a tool set of ways to regulate my nervous system, of ways to help other people regulate their nervous systems, and it's simple. It's not complicated at all, and it shouldn't be. And we hear breath work kind of thrown around a lot, and it's huge right now, right? Breath work is like exploded into the mainstream in a big way, and that's beautiful. I'm so glad people are breathing. I'm so glad people are bringing consciousness to their breath. And the difference between our ancient yogic, our pranayama, and these modern types are really, when it comes down to it, our nervous system regulation. So you see things like Wim Hof and trauma release and all these different grief release. These are techniques that, though they are useful, they actually do trigger the nervous system. So they're putting us in an uncomfortable state. Maybe they're giving us a lot of CO2. Maybe they're putting us in a space of having trauma come up, and that requires a really safe container. Pranayama is like almost the opposite. It's like getting us into that yummy, juicy feeling where we have techniques to clean, we have techniques to regulate, we have techniques to just help us exist. And so this started to become a platform for me. As you say, I'm like a wild woman. I would say the greatest piece of myself that I value is my authenticity. And like, it's uncomfortable for me to not be that. It is uncomfortable for everyone, but I really try and hold myself into my authenticity. So how do I teach that, right? How do I express to people, I want you to stand up in your power because this is important, because I believe that we're all so powerful, and the powers that be, shall we say, the systems in place seek to divide us from our power, seek to make sure we forget that we are these incredible beings that are made of stardust, freaking stardust, that's real. And we, just through our breath, we are able to like calm ourselves down. We are able to regulate our heart rate. We're able to create more emotional intelligence. We are able to help ourselves sleep better. We have this super simple tool that is sort of this symbol to me of how much power lies in our body. And so that's really become the practical, tangible baseline for the empowerment practices that I teach. So you're talking about my You Are a Badass container is like a year-long container, which we're working together there in this beautiful space. And this is a place for leaders, women who are in leadership, to come and to kind of talk about things and to say, to witness our fear, to witness our grief, to witness where we're not stepping into our full confidence, and say like, oh yeah, like I can work on this a little bit and I can get a little bit farther. And then tomorrow I'm going to wake up and have one more piece of my fullest self. And again, unifying all of those things, all of those pieces, and be okay with our bad days. We were talking before, and I was telling you about how frustrated I am this morning, waking up and being like, rah! And then guess what? I did pranayama and I feel better.
Yeah.
Freaking works, yo.
That's where I have been is, and I think that's the thing, as a coach and a leader and somebody who is, facilitating and leading these and holding space for people, like always thinking, where can I be inspired? Where can I improve? Where can I learn more? And also like, how can I embody what I'm teaching and stepping into like true embodiment? And that's been my big shift. And we talked about this actually in You Are a Badass. Like, I have been like, okay, I'm going to get up early, even though I don't like it. And I'm going to roll onto the floor and I'm going to do my breath work and I'm going to journal and I'm going to, like I'm preaching these things. It's time to do it, So, and it's been magical, by the way. Very, very magical to actually actualize.
Yeah. No, and when we put ourselves in that space of leadership and when we desire to lead others, it's like, it's no joke about how much work that takes to hold that space. It's no joke. This is like, I've cried my eyes out on the floor. I've, like I've been like, I want to quit. You go through all the emotions and then complete ecstasy, complete bliss when someone has a breakthrough and you got to like witness that. When you got to give someone a breathwork practice that helps them unlock their sacral chakra and all of a sudden they're able to work through sexual trauma. Like these things happen. It's like all of these things you're holding, and to be in a space where you are a leader and you are creating things from your divine connection to help other people, it's critical that we're embodying it. And if we're not, it's going to be obvious. Like people are going to be able to see it. And so, a piece of that for me is like just like this vulnerability. I come on and I'll, this is what I'm going through right now. When we shared before we got on the podcast and was like talking about where we're at, it's like suddenly we're able to move through it in a different way. And women are good at this, I think. Yeah, I think we're actually like pretty good at this like round table, like, oh my God, let's all share. And then like, oh, but things work like that. Shame, for example. Shame is one of those things that can completely lose its power when you can bring a light to it. It's like, I'm going to stand up and say, this thing that I've been trying to hide. And then once you speak to it, then it loses its power over you. So I think it's so critically important that we're embodying it, and like these pranayama practices, or a lot of people are using dance now as a mechanism for embodiment, obviously working out, just like getting in your body and being like, I'm a human being and I like being in this vessel. And
Yes. I
yeah.
mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I have learned is like I love that you were doing yoga for so long before you were like, okay, now I'm I'm going to try to step into this leadership role and be a teacher. And for me, it was like I had all of these doubts, like how I'm never going to be able to contort my body into those shapes and all these things, and all of the that not enoughness was speaking so loudly in comparison. And then finally I was like, I love this. I'm going to do it. And lo and behold, the asana, those physical postures is like this teeny tiny little part of it. It's like, well, not teeny tiny, but it's like this small, it's a small piece of the work that you do. And really, it was all about truly, like you said, yoga is unity, is unifying, connecting with yourself on that physical, mental, emotional, spiritual layer, all the koshas, and like getting into, I mean, there's just, it's, you will never, like, we will never stop learning.
No.
Never, never, never. And it's just deeper and deeper and deeper connection and more profound self-love, and this ability to actually kind of go back to that child who is so happy to lay and just look at a blade of grass and like see all of the little, like the lines in the grass and like the different colors when you moved it and when you held it up at the sun, and like just connecting and being content and joyful and shifting into that bliss state and all of that. Like if I could, I just wish everyone would do it. Just everyone.
People be like telling me about their problems. I'm like, well, there's yoga.
Right.
But because it's not just the movement, right? And then like we're talking about like the koshas, and like the philosophy piece has become now like I'm moving into using that in my work more. And I just ran a program called Empowered Confidence, and each day we talked about the koshas and using these different layers of our being. So for those of you that don't know, we have 5 layers essentially. Koshas are are the sheaths of our being. So like Russian stacking dolls. The outside is the food layer, our physical body. We've got the energy body, the mental body, the wisdom body, and the bliss body, the most subtle on the inside. So I went through each of these layers to give practical ways to work with bringing health to this layer. So the food layer, obviously, this is how we feed our body. This is the kind of air we breathe and the water we drink and the way we eat, the way we exercise, and then coming into the energy layer, going and really like taking this old philosophy and mixing it with modern psychology in a way where you can use this to really improve our lives. And this knowledge is 5,000 years old. It's 5,000 years old. It is relevant as hell. It is so amazing. When you think about how many lives it has impacted through time, it's just wild,
Yeah, and you have a
awesome.
degree in psychology too, right?
Yeah, so my original life path was going to be a professor. I wanted to be a professor. And so I honor and adore the fact that I still get to teach, only now I get to teach what I want and what lights my heart on fire, because I kind of realized around 27 I had gone back to like start upgrading some classes, and I started to see academia as like another golden cage. It's like there's just going to be a whole bunch of rules that I have to follow. My creativity is going to be stifled. It's hard to get tenure. I don't even know if this is actually what I think it is, And so I quit school. And that's when I started traveling. And my original plan was to backpack South America for a year, and I ended up 12 years in and out of my life in Costa Rica. She got a grip on me good. She got a grip on me good. So that's where I've been. I still never been to South America. Seriously.
Well, we gotta go to South America. That's gotta
Right?
happen.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, I dream of it. I dream of it. And so in Costa Rica, I've had the real privilege of getting to sit with a lot of indigenous elders and them passing knowledge through, either medicine work or sweat lodge, or, these different ways that I've gotten to like sit and experience these indigenous elders and Native Americans and South American indigenous people passing on beautiful teachings that are also timeless. And so a lot of like my spiritual path is a combination of these two things, where I feel like they fit so well together, a lot of the passing on of information in the indigenous lineages is just listening, listening or paying attention. Is this paying attention thing, and that's also so alive in yoga too. Are you paying attention? Are you just going about your life, and are you in victim mode, or are you choosing to be willfully ignorant, or are you paying attention? And I believe that that's all consciousness is just paying attention. It's like as soon as you bring consciousness to where your mind is going when you're meditating, as soon as you bring consciousness to the way your decisions are impacting another person, as soon as you bring consciousness to the way you put your shoes down at the door, like, whoa, those are little changes that could make a big difference in your life. Suddenly, you're a lot more aware of how you're moving through the world.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, this has been being taught, like you said, for thousands and thousands of years, and we're still like so many of us just not understanding and not getting it. And like stepping into awareness is like, well, it's a lifelong process, right? But I met you because I was running intoxicated and doing the whole alcohol free thing and talking about mindful drinking. And that's the new popular thing: mindful drinking, mindful eating, mindful or conscious consumption and conversation and conscious parenting. And they have all these fancy words for paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. They're you
Exactly.
paying attention.
Exactly.
And
And
you
like,
would think it's hard, but it can be. Life is coming fast.
yes, yes. But that's like where presence becomes your greatest tool, right? Like if you're constantly in here, then you're not paying attention. And like we use these tools as part of our business, this is part of how we connect in the world, and that's fine, but making boundaries around that, so that we are aware of what's going on in a good way, and we're moving through the world in a good way. And like a lot of the teachings that I've received through like my elders have been like, you shouldn't even actually have to ask. about things. You should be paying enough attention that you know what to do with the fire right now, that you know how to sit and which way to walk around the fire right now, because you should have been paying attention to how other people were doing it. And even asking means that you weren't. And so that's like an interesting twist. It's like how deep can we go with like our presence and with like the way that we honor the workings of nature, the workings of ceremony, the workings of living a sacred life.
Mm. Yeah, how deep can you go into it? That's an interesting thing. Like I was reading Riordan. Am I saying that right?
What?
He's a famous Rick
Reuben?
Ribbon. No.
Reuben? Rick Rubin?
Rubin. Rick Rubin. There you go.
Yeah. He's a famous producer.
Yes, famous producer. I got it. So he wrote this book, and one of the small chapters was just him like basically giving words to his meditation, and how he's all like, there's an itch on the outside of my in near my ear. I can hear a bird chirping outside. And it was like just these teeny tiny little things that he was just paying attention to. And then all of a sudden someone came in and his focus went way out. So it was like just the focus from like tiny little thing to like, oh, here's this person in front of me. And it's just playing with that in itself. And so yeah, no, that's it's just a beautiful practice to be able to, and that's one of the things, and probably one of the biggest things that yoga allows you to do is just pay attention and slow down. Slow down, pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much stopped altogether unless I get a request, but teaching any kind of like vinyasa flow or, Ashtanga or anything kind of like hard and fast as far as yoga goes, because that's fine. That exists. And I used to be obsessed with that. I was like hot yoga every day. Like I wanted to be super fit. And now I just see, and like, this is just where my teaching has gone, is that people need to slow down. And so I want to create spaces where people can be free to slow down. And truly, it is a more advanced practice to slow down. Because when you're making that space, like I did a day retreat yesterday and I taught without music. I just had a hand pan. So I would add some sound with the hand pan and with my rattle as we went through, but most of it was silent. That's way harder. Where does the mind go when there's so much space? Where does the mind go when we're sitting in a stretch for 10 breaths? Where does the mind go? If you're moving and breathing and moving and breathing, you're moving so fast that it's almost like it's easier. It's easier. And that slowness creates so much more like tension in our inner world. And that is something that we get to look at. That's something like, why is my mind going here right now? Why am I so mad at my teacher right now? Why do I hate this so much right now? And that is real. That is real.
Yeah, no, that's exactly just like with the mantra, like going and asking yourself, why is this making me so uncomfortable? Why do I not want to own? Where is the fear here? And why is it there? And getting curious. And that's the biggest thing is people need to get curious, about themselves. And that's where you'll be able to finally step in and start cultivating self-love is, yeah, it's like just being curious the same way you are when you go out and you look at the night sky and it opens up over the top of you and there's all these stars and planets and you're, oh my gosh, I'm on this planet that's spinning out in this galaxy and I'm worried about this dollar bill and this person who said this like crappy thing to me. But you look out in the world and you're just like, what is this? What is out there? But when you meditate and when you go in, you recognize that whole world out there, there's a whole nother one right inside of you, and there's this vastness and there's all this room to explore.
Oh, I love the curiosity piece. That's like, there's so many layers to that, right? Because the curiosity opens the doorway into us being able to understand ourselves better, of course, right? And without judgment. That's what I think about the curiosity piece being like, what's in here? Not, oh God, it's ugly in there, like, and we had this great conversation earlier today about things sometimes just being ugly, which is beautiful too. But I think, we're kind of get caught up in like this judgment thing a lot. We can judge ourselves, judge other people, judgment. And curiosity just kind of allows that all to fall away. It's like, what is this? It gives us that childlike wonder back. We're like, ooh, like, look how this leaf grows, or ooh, I feel a way when that happens. Like
Yeah. Before we were
it's
taught to
information.
judge. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Or compare.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
this versus that? And why is this one better than that one? Or
yeah.
maybe they're just different. And yes. So I 100%. So I want you to tell us what is what is the future for Joy? What is Joy working on? What is Joy building?
Oh, okay. So I've kind of recently expanded my like, okay, offer suite, I guess you could say. So like I have if anybody wants to try this breathwork that we're talking about, I have Seva Monday, which is a free online community every Monday. Seva means selfless service in Sanskrit. So I just show up and I teach you to breathe, and it's 20 minutes and you get to have a better week, a better day. That's a great place to start if you want to have a taste of my world. I'm also working on developing a membership. We're talking about curiosity, and this is like for curious seekers. So I'm just in the process of building this out on my website, but I'm creating workshops every month. So the last week I taught that empowered confidence. This week I'm teaching, or this month, my best guy friend who's a martial artist, stuntman in Hollywood, is teaching Qigong. I just want to create this like collection of things that are so interesting and help people develop sovereignty. And I also teach pranayama. We do You Are a Badass. And then and I do one-on-one coaching as well. I do one-on-one mentorship for like all sorts of different things. I really consider myself to be like more of a, I hate even saying spiritual life coach.
Isn't it weird trying to like name yourself? I'm like,
Oh my
I'm a
God, it drives me
self-awareness guide.
crazy. Yeah, because I'm like, all these different beings live within me, and I have to like pretend I'm one thing. Anyway, so woo-woo stuff has really come into my life in the last year or so. No, more than that. Many years. It's been at least a year since I've been doing Woo Wednesday. So I do an oracle reading on Instagram every Wednesday called Woo Wednesday. And so through that, it's been opening up this like portal of um the weird and the wonderful. So that's really been coming into my realm a lot, and it's sort of starting to influence my work. So now I have like psychology, and I have yoga, and I have the indigenous path, and then I have the woo path, and like my pendulum and my cards and all the things that I like actually have provide me with so much confidence to walk in the world and to know that I'm like backed by my spirit team. Anyway, so that's sort of like started to inform a lot of what I'm creating. My retreats are like probably my favorite thing that I'm doing. I'm going to Sedona in a couple weeks here and bringing a big group of women. And I'm just passionate about bringing people to like ley lines and vortices and power centers of the earth so that we can activate ourselves. I know you have this connection to Scotland, and that's like where you're going with this too. But I've just gotten this message where it's so important. And so that's kind of what I'm working on right now. And where I see myself going is like, man, I want to speak on stages. I used to compete in speech competitions when I was a kid. Like I would win regional speech competitions. I love standing on the stage. And I'm like, yo, I got something to say. I got something to say. So yeah, one of my goals, of course, is to do a TED Talk. I want to do that. I want to get to inspire people. I love it. I live for it. I like feel that, Joy is actually my middle name, but there's something that has been planted inside of me that is a seed of inspiration, and we all have some kind of medicine that the world needs. You have your memo writing, like this is such medicine to bring people, and mine really is like my joy and my authenticity. So like, how do I convey that in such a way that I can stand on the stage and I get to, be myself, inspire some people, and be successful. I'm a projector. Like I'm such a, like, I want to be the greatest teacher that I can be in this lifetime. That's really what I desire. And to have a lot of impact. I guess probably a lot of us want that. I want to bring these old things to as many people as possible. And I don't ever feel like I'm creating any of this stuff. I'm like, I sit there, I pray, I meditate, I listen, and then boom, ideas drop in for like, this is what it's supposed to be. And so I always feel that I am divinely guided and that I'm not just making this shit up. So I feel very confident in bringing these things forward. So yeah, I see myself speaking, leading more retreats to really amazing places all over the world, and just continuing to get to work with badass women who are like ready to step into their leadership and breathe and be bold and really stand for who they are. Because, some of us, we got burned in the past, literally.
Literally.
We got burned in past lifetimes, and we have to deal with the wounds now that resulted from us feeling like we weren't safe to be ourselves, to be in our power. And now we're safe. I always say, man, it's so cool to be a woman now. Like, everybody just chill out. We're doing real well. We do not get burned. We get to
We do not get burned as a steak anymore.
Yeah, we
This
get
is
to
progress.
have great jobs and have credit cards and buy houses and all these things. And I'm like, wow, like, this is a great lifetime.
Yes. Well, like as I said in the very beginning, you have inspired me. So I know that you're gonna inspire hundreds, if not millions, of women. And I just adore you so much. You are Joy. Like, I found out your first name was Brittany, and I was all like, Joy.
Yeah, I choose Joy.
She is Joy. Yes, and the fact that you can just you allow yourself to like the things you like. I feel like so many of us, women especially, it's like because we were so trapped in comparison that we don't allow ourselves to actually move in the direction of the things that bring us joy, right? And like, this makes me happy. I like this. This feels good. I I'm gonna wear dangly earrings. I'm gonna wear a I'm wearing a Jurassic Park t-shirt. I'm a little kid and it's okay. And like, I can be myself and I don't have to be like anybody else. And that, I think, is one of the biggest lessons that just your presence in itself, has brought into my life, is just this allowance of me being authentic, me being able to move towards the things that bring me joy. And even just like what you were saying, like my programs, when I'm building, I'm co-creating this with my soul, with the universe, with God. This isn't just something to make me money. No, I'm bringing forth out of my soul. Like, this is from my guts out, you know what I mean? Like, and that's when it's easy to be confident. It's easier to be bold. It's easier to be regulated, because you're like, I like this. I'm doing this because I like this.
Yeah. I like what you said about getting to like what you like. And all I want, I'm an Aquarius, so I love everybody being weirdos. So it comes honestly, but like, I really want everybody to be their most authentic self. I like can't even like wrap my mind around the fact that you wouldn't be yourself, but like it takes undoing of some of the social conditioning and the programming that have taught us that that's not okay, or that who we are as ourself is not enough, or is not cute, or is too loud, or all of these things. We've been told a lot of bullshit, especially as women, but everybody really. And can we just like give ourselves permission to show up and like what we like and dress how we want to dress? I love getting dressed. Like, it's so fun for me. So that's one of my methods of expression, and can everybody just paint with the colors that they love? It's
Oh, and you have to talk about your clothing line.
the Velvet Arsenal. Okay, well, I won't get too into that right now because it's not a turning point. But I've had just because my personal style is changing, and it feels like the Velvet Arsenal's in for a big overhaul. But I have an upcycled clothing line, so it's sustainable streetwear. And I thrift everything, and then I turn them into one-of-a-kind pieces of art. And it just has been classically like sneakers and baggy jeans and t-shirts and coats and like cool things like that for the last few years. And I'm just at a point where I'm like, I love seeing myself soften into my feminine. I love that this is happening for me. So I'm like, I want to wear dresses. I want to wear skirts. I want to wear pretty things more. So where does that leave my clothing brand? That's like, it's just streetwear brand, you know? So allow yourself, this is just a lesson in saying, allow yourself to change, allow yourself to evolve. We don't want to be the same person we were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That is stagnancy, right? And when our energy stagnates, when our mind stagnates, when our passions stagnate, that's when death comes. Like when water is stagnant, there's death there, you know? So keep evolving, keep changing. Let me be an example of that. And sometimes it's just, I put that on the back burner and work on the things that I know what the direction that they're going in it is right now. So it'll come back. I'm thinking about turning it into a jewelry line.
I love that. I love that. You know, and it's
like
so true.
Recycled metal jewelry. Like that. So that's my idea right now. I have to figure out what that would look like as far as
recording. Oh my goodness, we just lost contact for a minute, but we're back online. No worries here. But yeah, no, you were talking about how you are just softening into your feminine, and I think because I have been kind of allowing myself to do that and to step into a little more of actual like sensuality. It's just I would have I'd be curious to have known you when I was like going through my like Susie Homemaker stage, and I was a home mom for 12 years, and that whole point in my life, I think it is interesting how we meet people at certain times and all those things. But like looking back on those stages of my life and how I went from, like literally like Susie Homemaker little dresses and like, and then I had like this crazy tomboy phase, and then the super hippy dippy phase, and now I'm like, you know what? It's okay for me to be a little, a little sensual, a little more feminine, a little bit of all of it sometimes, and to play around and not dress like what the Target models are dressed like.
Oh my God, no, please God. Like and like you said, playing with that, and we embody all these archetypes as women. You know, we have all these different like archetypes that exist. We've got the maiden, the mother, the crone, the queen, the huntress, and the lover, and we are all of these things. And so if we one day feel more like the lover, some days we're more like the huntress and we're like more tomboy, and sometimes we're like the maiden, like our inner little girl, and sometimes we're like really in our mothering and we're nurturing. And sometimes we're the crone and we want to be alone and we want to be left alone and with our wisdom. And we get to be all these things, and as we come into this phase where we're already talking about like the as women, it's pretty damn good right now. And we get to play around with this more and more. And yeah, like I love, I always was like really edgy dresser for a long time. And I'll probably always have that rock and roll inside of me, but it feels really good to wear a long skirt now. It feels really good to like tap into that part of me that feels like pretty. And I think for a long time, I didn't want to feel that. And I don't exactly know why. I have to go into that at some point. Get curious, excavate that out a little bit. But yeah, allowing yourself to play with like you can be one day a tomboy and then one day Susie Homemaker. You're allowed.
Yeah. Oh, and yes, 100%. Just allow yourself to go through the ebb and the flow and the ups and the downs and the changes, and to be able to let things go and accept new things, and accepting the change. And that's so hard for so many of us to do, is to accept the change. That's the one that is inevitable.
Change. That's why I have this butterfly tattoo on my arm here. She's my spirit totem, my guide and my remembrance, that like to be graceful through change, to understand that like when metamorphosis occurs, the worm completely disintegrates to reform as a butterfly. It's not like just like the long worm part grows wings. It's like fully goes to goo. And sometimes we've all been goo before. It feels terrible for a moment, but then we emerge, right? And then even getting out of the cocoon. Oh my God, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. We lose, it says it's a death and rebirth cycle, And as women, we have that. That is part of us. Our womb is a portal for life and also can carry death, and so many women, that's going to be a part of my future work is working in such a way. And perhaps next year I want to write a book, co-create a co-authorship book of women's stories of losing children, whether that means, miscarriage, abortion, or, stillbirth, or losing, all these different stories and what that means to us as women to lose life
I
as
would
life creators.
author that with you.
Yes, I would love that. I need all the help I can get now. But I want like a whole bunch of different stories from different women, because what happened when I went through my miscarriage was that I realized nobody's talking about it. And this is it's like an interesting topic. And going back to the archetype thing, I felt like I was stuck between maiden and mother. It's like I was a maiden, I got pregnant, and then I mothered, but I didn't actually get to fully express that. So where does that leave me energetically on this roadmap of being a woman? And I think this is a really important conversation. So
I agree.
mhm.
10,000%. Yes, that's yes, let's do that.
Yeah. And talking about, we've talked about this like post-traumatic growth thing that Audie's brought into our realm, and what hardships you've been through that you can turn to gold, that you can alchemize from some kind of pain to some kind of beauty. And we are alchemists, we're all alchemists. We're able to do this thing. But what is that factor that makes some people, turn the coal to a diamond, and others to lose themselves? I think it's these simple practices. For me, it's like simple practices that kind of can bring you back to yourself, and allowing yourself to fall apart and be on the floor when that is required. So you have to feel those things. But yeah, going through that experience in my life really pushed me to be where I am today. I think it really helped bring the feminine out of me. It helped move me into the motherhood in some kind of way. And then I birthed the creation that has become my business, Renegade Yoga and Healing Arts. And it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for, of course, going to yoga school, and also, losing a child, leaving Canada after COVID, all these really hard things, like deep, deep grief. And I was able to kind of turn that into gold. And I think everybody has that capability.
Yeah. No, I agree 1,000 times. Like I have, 3 beautiful, healthy children, but I also had miscarriages and
Mhm.
an abortion when I was 16.
Mhm.
The grief that I felt and I sometimes still feel,
Yeah.
and the the I guess that ugliness that you feel like you have tainted yourself and you have
Mm.
death and you're living with this death and you're holding on to like this murderous inside of yourself, and then it's a hard thing to move forward with and to find forgiveness for and to find love for. And yes, no, that's a whole conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
Another one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I mean that all of this comes down to, like, we all have this story, and we all have different parts of our story, they and then we're actively living in our story right now, and like showing up in this present moment sometimes takes a lot of reflection and dreaming, like it's okay to do all of that. It's okay to breathe through life, literally.
Yeah. And bring that fresh life into your body with that. Should we do like a breath right now?
Yes, that
Should we
would be.
do like
I think
a
that's
little?
a way to end everything.
Yeah. Okay, so I like to say that bringing consciousness to your breath is bringing consciousness to your life, and it truly is. And when we talk about prana in the yogic tradition, this is our life force energy, and that doesn't just mean it's literally like what keeps everything alive. It's so much bigger than the breath, right? It's like how the hummingbird flaps its wings, what makes a flower bloom, what makes us able to create life and love, you know? That's prana. It's life force energy. What makes you feel alive. So we're just going to do something really simple in pranayama. There's different techniques that help us to do different things, but two cool tools that are really simple to pass on are using breath holds, which we're going to do right now, and then using oh my goodness, what's the word I'm trying to say? Not intervals, but ratios. So you're going to breathe, you know, in for 1, out for 1, or in for 1, out for 2, or in for 4, out for 10, you know, that kind of thing. And so for everybody listening out there, anytime you're going to make your exhale longer than your inhale, you will move yourself into your parasympathetic nervous system. You're letting your body know that you're safe. And that is, there's no bears, no bears around. We're good. We're not breathing shallow. So breathing shallow, and so many people do this. They're breathing shallow. And it just keeps you in a constant state of fight or flight. We don't want that. So we're going to take some really long, deep breaths, a couple just to ground in, and then we'll add a couple of holds. So maybe like 5 or 6 long, deep breaths in total. That's it. So stick with it and see what you can learn about your breath. So making sure that your spine is nice and tall. So making a nice line from the root where you're connected to the earth all the way up and through the top of your head, through the crown chakra, or the top, the crown of the head. And take a deep inhale, exhale through the mouth. Kind of let it out. And then start to deeply inhale through the nose, keeping the mouth closed. And feel how the breath is moving up the body. So if we're going nice and slow, you can feel it creeping up the spine, creeping into the chest, creeping up until you get to the top. And then slowly exhale through the nose. We're breathing only in and out of the nose. And follow it back down. So we're bringing this switch of paying attention to the breath that allows you to move your body out of autonomic. Inhale, up, in through the nose, up, slowly, creeping up. So you get to the top. When you get to the top, you're so full. Exhale through the nose, slowly, making that exhale longer than the inhale. Okay, now we're going to add the hold in. So I'm going to count. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath. Hold on to that and see if you're grinding your teeth or scrunching your forehead. Don't do it. And now we're going to exhale for 10. Okay. So super slowly, releasing that air through the nose for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exhale anything that's left in the lungs. Hold the breath out. Where's your mind going when you're holding the breath? You're going to do one more like that. Inhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to the top. Hold the breath. Sitting nice and tall. The chest is shining proud. And then start to slowly exhale through the nose for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push any remaining air out. Exhale all the way to the toes. Hold the breath. This is the final hold. So do it with all your heart. Stay with it. See if it's just the mind telling you can't do it. The body is capable. And when we slowly start to inhale, we're going to do it silently and with skill. So no gasping. Fill the lungs back up. Release control of the breath. Just take a moment to see how you feel. Maybe you feel a little bit better. That was just 5 simple breaths, a couple holds, and you can shift your whole day. You can shift a mood that you're in. You can slow your heart rate down. You can improve digestion with certain techniques. Like, this is magic stuff, guys. Thank you so much, Jessa, for letting me do that.
That's like the perfect ending to this. Like it's ensemble complete.
Yes.
Like all well-rounded here. Yes. And so if you are interested in pranayama, if that was magic for you, you have to seek out Joy. I will leave all of her information in the show notes. She is Sunkissed Renegade on Instagram. She's doing Mondays. She's got the You Are a Badass programs. She's got her one-on-one coaching. There's so many opportunities to dive in to the world that is joy. I'm so glad I am basking in the sunshine that is you. And I thank you for coming into my life. Thank you for being you. Thank you for honoring me with your time today. I adore you so much.
Oh, I love you. I love you, Jessa. Thanks for asking me on. It's so great to have this conversation, and thank you for opening up your heart to like yoga so quick and so fast, and for like really just I watched you grow so quickly and magically, and find your space in like this healing world coming from, you know, all the other versions of you that existed. And I love getting to meet you here in this time and getting to walk with you in this life right now. Thank you.
Yes, and I know that there is some in-person meetups in our future, and maybe some South America excursions. I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I love you. I love you. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. And to all of my guests, thank you for being with me and Joy today. I hope that you are just like mind blown, like, oh my gosh, there's this whole new world out there. I am ready to take it on and create beautiful things and be inspired and all of the good stuff, right? So once again, thank you for being in the Caim Circle, in my safe space of sanctuary and unconditional love. I love you, and I'll talk to you guys all later.
Yeah. Get curious.
Stay curious.